You need to make sure that the why, the reason behind why you want to do it, is so strong that you don't mind if people don't like it. You don't mind if it doesn't get loads of streams. Music is not a people-pleasing thing, it's a people-connecting thing. I want people to hear the song and be like, oh, I feel that, I get that, you know. Imagine you have a cup and it's like, you think it's gold, and then the next cup you have is real gold and you're like, oh, that was silver.
Emily.
Hi.
Thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, tell us, why are you in Oslo right now?
That is actually such a great question, because the reason why I'm in Oslo is actually really special.
Yeah.
I was invited over to Norway to be involved in a Eurovision writing camp. And I can't lie, it's been one of the most special trips I've actually done this year. The people of Norway are so lovely, and the talent as well is just incredible. So yeah. I came all the way from London to work with some amazing Norwegian musicians and songwriters and artists to make songs to be put forward to MGP for the Norwegian Eurovision.
Wow, wow. So hopefully you're representing us.
Oh, I'd love it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd go so big, I'd go so full out.
Yeah, that would be great.
I mean, essentially, I guess it's interesting because it's different from London in the UK, because you guys, you know, we kind of go straight to the final, but you guys have like the national live final, and that's so exciting because it's like kind of like round one, you know? So just getting to that, just being here generally it's been incredible. The idea, like I met some of the Eurovision panel and they're so lovely, and the idea that they've already listened to the songs and they're gonna get to kind of see my vision of what I would do on stage and stuff, and then just the idea of even doing like the live, that would be, it'd be incredible.
Yeah, like I've heard your music. I would love to have you represent us. It's really cool. And for us Norwegian, Eurovision is it's a big thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, would be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be sick. It would be amazing.
But you haven't always been like this badass musician artist. So when did it all start?
So I guess I could take you all the way back to when I started music. I was a professional dancer.
Yeah.
So I used to tour and live abroad. I've lived in Dubai, I've lived in Ibiza, I did a little bit of time in Beirut.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been, that era of my life was so incredible and I learned a lot. You know, you kind of work your way up to this point where like you're on these big stages in front of thousands of people. And then I got to a point where I was like, I no longer want to dance behind somebody anymore, you know, like I wanted to be in the front.
Cool.
I wanted, and so I was like, I need to work on myself. So I went from being all the way up here as a professional dancer to, let me just take it back to ground zero and, you know, actually putting all the hard work that it takes to be an artist.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was actually like lockdown that I was like, okay, it's time to make a change. So it's been like 5 years that I've been getting into music, but I think I probably has only really been taking myself seriously the last 3, because I think it's music is one of those things where you have to, it's a lot of mental battles in the sense that, you know, you have to shed a lot. There's a lot of ego that you have to let go, a lot of healing that you need to do to be able to stand up in front of a crowd and be really vulnerable and like tell the message of your story. So it was a lot of lessons that needed to be learned, and I'm like finally in a really lovely place where I feel really confident about like the darks and the light sides of my music and the stories behind them.
That's great to hear, and you know, my next question would be like, there's a lot of people who likes doing music and have been doing music for a lot of years, but there's not too many who go from like playing in their own bedroom to going on stage or doing like their own thing and making like this whole brand around it. So can you tell us a little bit about the going from it's a dream to actually going full on like a business side of it?
Yeah, so it's just hard work.
Yeah,
that's what it is. I think the thing is, when you work in any creative industry, there's not one straight path. So it's not like, you know, I want to be a teacher and at one point I'd love to like have my own school. So then, you know, you go through school, you go through university, you get your qualifications, you then do placements, you learn, and then you know, you get to a point when you're older where you can facilitate your own school in the only way you want. that is like a very, you know, like I could write that out as a list of what that would probably look like.
Yeah.
As an artist, you are constantly at the disposal of yourself. So, you know, when people say, oh, it takes like 10 years to, you know, really break as an artist. Well, it doesn't take 10 years unless you put the work in, you know? So I think for me, for a really long time, I was like struggling with coming from the big stages to the bedroom because I kind of went boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
So it was really about believing that I had put enough work in to myself that I could stand up really confidently on stage and just kind of like command a room. Because essentially, like when you're singing or when you're performing, you know, you are in that second the center of attention. You are the person that is, you know, like telling the story. You're the narrator, and you have to have confidence to be able to do that. But not just to be able to get up and, you know, the first step is just getting up and doing it. But you have to have confidence in what you are saying and why it's important and why should people listen. Like, you have to believe that. So I think a lot, you know, the 10,000 hours, putting in 10,000 hours is really important. And it took me a really long time to learn that. I think at one point I thought I could fast track it because I had been on stage so much. And I had all these connections. I knew all these people, and I'd been on tour and I had all this experience. And, you know, like I dance and I present myself in a certain way, and I was like, this should, you know, almost be easy. And then I got to a point where, you know, that can only get you so far. And then, you know, like, you need to take yourself seriously for other people to take you seriously. So every day, just turning up for yourself, like vocal warm-ups, vocal exercises, things like yoga, gym, therapy. These are all the things that I've had in play as like a routine in my life to not just prepare me to be able to have the confidence and the ability to go from bedroom to stage, but also like when you're like on tour and you're like a bigger artist, like what's the most sustainable thing? Well, if I'm drinking every night, that's not sustainable, you know? If I'm like spending like late nights out and about, that's not really sustainable. Your voice gets tired. And if I'm mentally not in a place where I can deal with the pressures of what it takes when you're like at that level, you know, that's going to ruin your career. So this part of my career personally has been really important, getting all the foundations in the best place possible. So go from bedroom to stage to like world tour.
Yeah. You write songs?
I do.
Yeah. So I guess you get inspiration from a lot of places. So my question is, what's the most unexpected place or moment that you've gotten inspiration for a new song?
You know what? I think that's a really, really hard question to answer. Mainly because when you're writing every day, you do kind of like run out of those moments to find things to write about, you know? So that's the reason why writing camps is so important, because you're with other people that are experiencing parts of life that you have experienced in the past or you haven't experienced, and you find yourself in their stories. I wrote 2 songs this week that weren't for me, and they were for writers that I was working with for their own projects. And one of them's like about being the oldest sister of 3. And obviously I'm like an only child, so I was like, let's write about that. Let me tap in to your story and let's write about it. And that was really interesting because it's almost so much easier when it's not your story, because it's like, is this relevant? Is that relevant? Okay, we'll put that in, and then this can rhyme with this, and that's, you know, and you can almost have a little bit more. It's more like play rather than work in that sense. Whereas when it's your own story, you're like this close to it, and you're like, that word doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit that time, so it can be really hard. So I don't know, like the most. I think it's more people. It's more people than places. Like Ronnie, who we wrote the song about her being one of 3, definitely. Yeah, and sometimes it's just hard to pull inspiration. I have this thing that I do in writing sessions. If we want to write, but we don't know what we want to write about, or maybe like we're written out, like we've just like all the stories are gone. It's called a power hour. And basically we do like a random word generator, or we go through like as writers, we just walk around and sometimes we hear something and we're like, oh, that's good. And we write it down in our notes. So sometimes we'll go through each other's notes and find like these one-line phrases, and we're like, okay, this is the name of the song, or this is the theme of the song. We have 1 hour to write it. And when you're in that state, you're less precious about things, and you're like, we just have an hour, we have to get it done, you know? And it's really interesting because you pick the chords and you're like, yep, let's go with it. And then you're like, yep, that's the hook, yep. And you know, you're less precious, and then the song comes together. Like last night we wrote a song and we did the majority of it in the hour, like all of it, and then we were stuck on 2 lines for the bridge, and it took us 2 hours to write those 2 lines. And I was like, guys, this is why the power hour is important. We managed to do a whole song in half this time. So the people are definitely they're the reason why and they're the reason for.
Yeah, and it's great to get that perspective. Like you could spend years writing a song, but you could also do it in 1 hour, and it can be as good as the one you've been working on for years. There's a lot of musicians out there who wants to start making their own music and share it. So, what would you advise or tell a young musician who's afraid to put out their music, to share kind of their story through music?
I would say make sure the reason that you're doing it is right.
Yeah.
Because if you want to do this because you want to be perceived a certain way or you think you're going to get rich off of it, they're the wrong reasons and it won't last, you know. And also that's a really wobbly faith to build a career on. You know, you need to make sure that the why, the reason behind why you want to do it is so strong that you don't mind if people don't like it. You don't mind if it doesn't get loads of streams. You don't mind if people don't watch your videos online. You don't mind if people are like, I think you should have done this or you should have done that, or I don't know. You need to be almost so unbothered by people not liking the song.
Yeah.
But if your like perception of why you want to do it is to be perceived a certain way, or to be, what's the word? Like, for people to look at you and admire you, or just to be like people pleasing.
Yeah.
Music is not a people pleasing thing, it's a people connecting thing, you know? So you need to make sure that the reason why you're doing it is almost so selfish that it becomes selfless. And you just have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't sit on it. If you really love this song and you really believe in it, just post it for you. And then eventually you'll meet someone that goes, I heard that song, that's really good, I relate to it. And you're like, wow. You know, and then like I've been really fortunate to connect with so many people in that way that I'm almost like gravitating and collecting people that enjoy the things I speak about and the way I want to speak about them and find like relatability in them. And that's kind of like how you start building this world. And it's a community of people that relate to you and what you want to talk about.
If someone listens to your songs, what do you want them to feel, and how do you hope them to? What do you want them to take away from your song?
I want people to feel seen. I want people to hear the song and be like, oh, I feel that, I get that, you know. And I'm a very open book. I will talk for hours. I'm very patient. I have a lot of time for people's emotions and stories. And I'm a big fan of just trying to help people, you know. And because I'm an open book, I have access to the strength and my vulnerability is to tell the story. So I just want people to like almost hear a lot of my songs. It's like a sad concept over like a really good beat. So I want people to be able to feel all the emotions of the story of this thing that's happened, but then also be able to just like jump up and dance and almost like move the emotion through their body. Yeah.
That's very cool. You think everyone could write music and touch people's heart, or is it for some people in specific?
I definitely think it's a gift.
Yeah.
But I think it's also a muscle.
Yeah.
You know, so you go to the gym to get like stronger legs so you can do a run. If you want to be a songwriter, you just have to practice. And I think you learn loads of different techniques, which I'm sure you know about after studying music, you know, like different formats of lines, different ways, you know, you can, you know, not rhyming. And I think songwriting in general is something that songwriting is almost like an extension of like poetry, which is almost an extension of journaling, and journaling is almost an extension of having a diary. Yeah. Right? So if you've ever sat down and find that writing things that you're feeling or going through, if you ever find that writing those out, then I would say that's kind of that's like a ticket. You know, you could probably, if you were able to articulate a story and the way you feel in that moment, then you do have the skill set to write a song.
I really like that.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Um, and I guess like music is a big part of you. But outside of like the music, Emily, what part of life influences your music that's not specifically like part of the brand in a way?
I guess just people.
Yeah.
I have, I've made a really beautiful group of people around me who all have their own experiences in life outside of music. And I have like family that's all in different places and friends that are all in different places. So it's nice because we all experience life differently. But probably my partner, but my partner is also in music. So he's kind of like part of the brand. Like I have so many songs about him and in our relationship, and you know, what happened before we were together is a big thing because you know, you have something, you know, like imagine you have a cup and it's like you think it's gold, and then you the next cup you have is real gold and you're like, oh, that was silver. So you know, there's a lot of like, oh, now I have all these amazing experiences in my relationship with my partner. I realized the cups that I were holding before were not good, or they weren't as good, or there was certain, you know, so he is a really big turning point in inspiration because he gives me a lot of awareness and perspective, as well as the fact that he's a singer-songwriter and a musician himself. So it's hard because a lot of the things outside of music, everything is kind of music, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of artists are very kind of like, they have themselves and then they have like their artist alias.
Yeah.
That's just not very me. Like I am my music and my music is me.
Yeah.
Like Emily Jade is my name. That is my stage name. That's my government name. And it's like, I'm really connected and really open and honest. And I don't, at this point, feel like there's a need for me to have a disconnect because I really believe that when you're like honest and open, that's when you can really have an impact on people. There's no point being fake because what sort of advice, what sort of like standard does that set for the people that listen and connect to your music, you know?
That's really interesting. And to be vulnerable enough to kind of be transparent about putting yourself and your own life out there in the music publicly. I think it takes a lot of courage and a lot of life experience to kind of get in touch with yourself in that way and articulate it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very unique.
It's really interesting, especially when we're both artists, because and especially because the way that social media is now as well. Like we are very online, you know, we're in each other's videos and we do radio interviews together and we have some of the same people that we work with. And sometimes he'll come and work and be a writer on my song. And sometimes I'll come and I'll help him with like the creative design for the stuff that he does. Like, so we kind of like mix and mingle, but we are like a very visual couple. And some people that's like, is that not stressful? Like everyone being able to see into your life, but because we're both on that page and we've both kind of like done so much like adjusting, it doesn't feel like we have anything to like hide. And it's like, sure, we still have our personal time together and that's really precious. And we always say like at the minute he's actually in Copenhagen and he's finishing his Eurovision song because he's actually in the process as well, but for the UK. But he has a really amazing team in like Copenhagen as well. So it's been a little bit like the battle of like the Scandies at the minute, and I'm like, Norway's the one, like we're gonna win. But we're very intertwined and we're very visual, and we have a lot of precious time that we don't post online, like having the normality of like doing all this stuff. And then both of our flights are back today, and then this evening it's just going to be us, a cup of tea, watching TV, just being normal human beings and just kind of like not, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're definitely going to listen to each other's songs and get up and dance and say, and then this will happen and like paint the picture and all that. And the music he's made this week is like incredible. And it's a good thing that we're like both healthy competitiveness, because before the trip we were like, I can't show you like your competition. But yeah, so we are, the time in between the moments is very, very precious.
That's it's very nice that you kind of you know this balance, because there's a balance and everyone does it different ways, but I guess you kind of just have to find your own way, find out what works for you too, and yeah. So
and it changes quite a lot. It can change quite quickly. You got to be like quick, like on your feet.
Yeah. So to kind of wrap it up a little bit, you've been here now for 4 or 5 days.
4 or 5 days, yeah.
Yeah. What's next for you right now?
I'm actually about to turn 30.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congrats.
I turned 30 on Tuesday. I'm really excited. So it's a big birthday, and I was kind of like 20 when my dance career really took off. So it feels right that I'm about to go into 30, and it's like I really feel like my music is really in the place where it's gonna start gravitating and happening a little bit more quicker now, because I've done so much hard work to get to this point. So on Monday morning, I'm flying to Marrakesh in Morocco, and I'm going to be spending my birthday in the opposite of this weather, like in the desert, in like 42-degree heat. I'm going to turn 30 under the stars with all my people around me. So that's kind of what's next. And then, I mean, I'm online. I'm actually doing a project at the minute called Unmastered, which is kind of like on brand for what we're talking about. It's about me on social media kind of like shedding the skin of this idea that I'm this person that has everything together and I can do this and I can do that. Like, I have so many strings to my bow, but this project is about strengthening those strings, and I'm working towards a show in December. You guys should come to London, come to the show. London's I mean, I bet it's a really amazing Christmas time actually in Norway. But so at the minute I'm really focusing on this campaign of like building this show up to be the best it can and connecting with as many people to make it as real as possible, rather than like the whole fake it till you make it thing. It needs to go, and it has gone, but now I need to really put that in practice and shift my socials in that capacity. So that's what's next.
Yeah, that's great. That's you got your plan packed.
Yeah, plan's packed.
Yeah, so that's great to hear, and I mean, you have a lot of wisdom and a lot of great experience from the music industry, and I bet you're gonna inspire tons of people in the future, and you've inspired me.
Oh wow!
And it's just very cool to talk to you.
Oh, that's so sweet. It's been really lovely to just sit in this rainy little cabin and speak to you as well.
Thank you. So thanks for being here, and thanks for visiting Norway.
Yeah, it's my first Norwegian interview. So hopefully next time we can do it, and I'll be like on the lineup for the national finals, and it'll be like, whoa. And so here's a recap of what happened the first time we saw Emily.
And I will sit in a suit.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. It'd be amazing.
All right, so have a nice trip back to London.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.